About 3 months ago, well, a little less than 3 months ago, about 80 some odd days, I couldn't get it exactly right because I got really lazy when doing the math. I left social media behind. I made a big deal about it. Recorded a video or two and posted things and pinned things and said, I'm out of here. So long, tweeters. Well, here we are 83 days later. I'm going back on Twitter, which is ridiculous, but also kind of interesting. I kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's been something I've been mulling over for a while now. So I'm going to go back on Twitter after being off of it for 80 some odd days, which honestly was awesome and fun and relaxing and more productive at the same time. I'm still going on it, which you would make you think, why would a sane person do this? And that's a very valid question in my book. Why would a sane person who has experienced both being on and off social media repeatedly now go back on social media after feeling the effects of not being on it? And before we go any further, I agree that the term social media is kind of stupid. Let's just say Twitter for the rest of this, because that's really what I'm talking about. Things like that, Google Plus and Facebook and Mastodon and Diaspora and everything else. But let's just talk about it as Twitter for now on, and just assume I'm talking about other ones as well. Because social media, I mean, that could be anything. That could be my BBS. That could be a web forum. That could be going down to the coffee shop. Could be a social media. No, we'll just say Twitter. All right. So I'm going back on Twitter, and when I decided last November to just be done with it, all the reasons I had for being done with it were totally spot on. At least for me. I was more productive, less stressed out, more relaxed. I had more free time. I wasn't ever getting caught up in whatever brouhaha was happening that day, which kept my mental state in a much better place overall, I feel. And yet I'm going back on it. And it's not because of some sort of social media addiction at this point. Though, honestly, when I first stopped, just like cold turkey, I'm done with you, tweeters. Man, I felt twitchy. I really wanted to go back on social media. It was driving me crazy because I'm like, man, I want to tell people how great it is to be off social media. I better log on to social media. I better log on to Twitter and tell people about how great it is to be on Twitter. It was ridiculous. And then I got past that. And then once I was past that, I was fantastic. Like, it felt good. The world felt more like it did in the 90s and in the 80s, at least in that way. And in that way, it was a good thing. I know 80s, 90s, 2000 odds, they've all got their pluses and minuses. But in that way, there was a real benefit back then. Anyway, so here we are. It's February of 2019, and I've been off since November, and I'm going back on Twitter. I'm not going to touch the other social networks like the Google Plus and the Facebooks and whatnot. I'm just going to leave them alone. I really don't have time to hit a bunch of them, and really, Twitter is the one where the action's at anyway. So I'll go back on Twitter. At least for now. I'm not going to say I'm not going to change my mind here on how I approach this, because I change my mind on things all the time. That's what I do, baby. But you can't pigeonhole the Lunduke, son. So I'm going back on Twitter. And why? Why would I do something so stupid? Well, here's my thoughts on that. There's actually a couple of reasons. The first was, I have friends and acquaintances and people I work with for the show, like sponsors of the show, that are all doing these really cool things. And they're all on social media. They're running conferences and they're doing product launches of like open hardware things and like stuff that stuff that they want to get the word out about and that I think are awesome. And these are friends and these are people I really like. And I know that if I hop onto Twitter, I can help amplify their message quite a bit. And so not being on Twitter meant I haven't been able to do that, at least not on Twitter, which it would be nice to be able to do. It'd be nice to be able to help spread the word about cool Linuxy conferences and cool gadgets that focus on open hardware and things like that. Spread the word that way about it as well. That would be good. And while social media is not, in my opinion, the best mechanism for doing that, it is a mechanism for doing that. And that is something. Another reason, and there's actually a couple here. Another reason that I'm hopping back on is that, well, over the last couple of weeks especially, there have been a couple of incidents, not relating to me in any way, where people have emailed in. I like it when I say incidents. I need to clarify. These are not Lunduk incidents. Those are different. No, a couple of people emailed in where there were moments where people in the tech community were being bullied by other people in the tech community. And I don't like bullies, bullies bug me. I was a nerdy, scrawny little boy when I was a kid, and I got bullied a lot, and that stuck with me. When I see people get bullied, it gets me worked up. I get upset, and me not being on social media meant I was not there to see that happen. And I was not there to stand up for people who were getting bullied. In some cases, at least in one case, someone was getting bullied that I profoundly disagree with on like so many topics. But this person was getting bullied by other tech people. And it just wasn't right. And I wish I would have been there because I could have said something. I've seen this last week, a big tech conference got bullied. Another person I know got bullied. And it was just like, man, people are just not being excellent to each other enough. I mean, most people who watch this show, man, you lot treat each other well. I've seen it. I mean, at least for the most part, you guys and gals treat each other rad, and I really appreciate it. But if I'm not there, if I'm not somewhere where people who are part of the show's community, people who are friends and family of mine, people who are involved in companies that I love and support are getting bullied or getting treated poorly, I want to be able to be there to come to their defense, to give them words of encouragement. And if I'm not there, I can't do that. So I want to be there to be able to do that. And also, the third thing was that coming up soon, there's going to be a few events that I'm going to be involved in, conferences and whatnot, where it will be nice to be able to blast out, hey, I'm going to be over here. Hey, we're going to do some signings over here, whatever, right? It's going to be nice to be able to do that. It's a little more clumsy for me to record a video. Hey, everyone, in 12 minutes, meet me up over in this hallway in this area, and we're going to go grab burgers or something, right? That's just a little bit clumsier. And so it just, plus YouTube processing time can literally make that just not viable. So being on Twitter for the spring time this year, kind of basically I'm looking from now until about June, might actually be really handy. So again, social media in general and like things like Twitter, they have value, but overall they have been more of a negative for me than a positive. And even with these three things I just talked about for reasons for me to go back to using social media, even with those there, and they're good reasons, it still feels kind of hard. You know what I mean? Like I still don't want to go back on it. So what I'm thinking I need to do is kind of get a little no nonsense about this. The big thing, there's really two things. One, and this is easier to solve than the second one. The first thing is that I don't want to get sucked into using social media all the time. There was a period of time where I was just checking it way too often. That takes up time. It takes up space in your brainial cavitations, and it's not a great way forward. So I want to make sure I keep a good Twitter life balance. So I think what I'm going to do, and it's something I've talked about before, and I've done before with some success, is I'm going to try and just stick only to using Twitter on my desktop when I'm sitting down in the studio, preferably. When I'm off at conferences, I'll bring a mobile device, whether it's a PDA or a phone or what have you to do that with. But I think other than those events, when I'm just at home, when I'm out and about, I just won't use it. And then when I'm at home, I'll go ahead and hop on. That way I can kind of limit the amount of time I spend using the tweeters. If that doesn't work, I'll impose stricter sanctions on myself, but we'll see if that just works for now. The bigger problem, though, is if I'm hopping on Twitter and I'm saying, hey, to a bunch of people who are being kind of mean to other people, don't be such bullies, I'm going to get yelled at. Boy, am I going to get yelled at if I do that. People yell. People hop on the internet and they just scream at each other. They don't treat each other cool. And again, you lot are a little bit different. You guys are the cool ones. But there are a lot of people that just get so worked up. So I think what I'm going to do is not only am I going to get a little more heavy-handed with my ban hammer, I'm going to, and my block hammer, I guess it's blocks in terms of Twitter. You block people, you don't ban them. But I'm going to just more liberally click that block button whenever I see anyone being mean or bullying to anybody, me or anyone else. I think I'm just going to really get aggressive with it. But I think even more than that, I'm going to go a little bit more extreme, and I'm going to publish my block list. Yeah. So what I'm going to do inside Twitter has the ability to import a CSV file, just a little comma separated spreadsheet basically of names of Twitter handles, and you can import them and just mass block a bunch of people, right? Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick it up on my website, kind of maybe in the bottom somewhere, like down below everything else. And just like, here's a link to that CSV. Feel free to take it. You can use it. You can not use it. You can edit it. You can recommend changes to it, whatever you like. It's fine. And my criteria for people being on that blocked list are simple. If they are not being excellent to their fellow person, man, woman, child, whatever, I block them. End of story. Assuming they're on like in a tech circle, right? This is specifically for people that are in the technology world. Engineers, program managers, community managers, CEOs of companies, social media, in fact, companies themselves. I've seen a couple of tech companies that have been kind of just mean to people. And I am going to just actively block them from my account, my personal account on Twitter. The point for that being that I don't want to see it. Once I see it, if I see someone being mean to someone else, I'll call them out and say, this is just not cool. If you want to apologize, I'll unblock you. No worries. And then I'll just block that person. That's it. No warnings, no nothing, because I don't really need that kind of hate and negativity in my lives. And I think most of you know what I'm talking about. When you see people just getting mean to each other online, it just sucks. And I don't want to see that, right? That wears on you. It drags you down. It pulls your soul down. And I don't want any part of that. So I'm going to block those people. And I'm not going to make any secret about who it is. Maybe I'll let people know I'm blocking this person now. That just was mean. And then I'll add them to the little CSV file, upload it to my website. And if everyone else wants to grab it, great. If everyone else doesn't want to grab it, also great. Really no big deal. It's just there as a resource, not to call people out publicly, not to shame them, but just to make it so that if there are accounts on Twitter that are actively bullying people and being just mean to each other, then I don't want to see that. And I know there's a lot of you that are in the same boat, and this might make it easier to make it a little bit more of a hospitable place where we can be kind to each other. And the really hard part about this is as follows. I have friends in real life, people who I know for a fact are good, loving, kind-hearted, amazing people. People who would literally, if they saw you hurting, they would sell their home just to try and help you out. They would do everything for you. And some of those people get really mean and nasty as soon as they get on Twitter. And this is not surprising anyone because we've had conversations, buddies. And that doesn't make them a worse person. But some people have a really hard time with holding it back when they get on Twitter. I don't know if it's that level of separation, that not needing to look people in the eyes, that feeling of anonymity or pseudo anonymity, or just, I don't know what it is, but it just makes people crazy and it makes people just mean to each other, and I don't like it. So even with my closest and dearest friends, even with companies that I love, if they go around bullying other people, I'm just going to say, hey, not cool, dudes and dudettes, block, add to the list. The moment they say, hey, my bad, I was feeling cranky, I forgot to eat my Wheaties this morning, I say, cool, no worries, bro. Unblock, delete from the little list, and then I'll even post everything on Twitter, say, hey, this person was being cool. This person put on their big kid pants and fessed up to it and said, hey, I'm sorry. And then everyone else should go, that's totally cool. Because here's the thing. And I know this is deviating a little bit from just pure tech, but I am a firm believer in second chances and third and fourth chances and fifth chances. I don't know about infinity chances, but darn close to infinity. It's one of those lines. It gets all asymptotic. It gets real close, but it never quite touches, but close to infinity chances. People should be able to redeem themselves for little things and for big things. I'm not going to go looking back in the past at 5-year-old tweets that someone posted that were really grouchy or that it was like really, even if they're really bullying tweets. If they haven't done that recently, I'm not going to block them, because the whole point is not to shame someone, is not to cut people out of our lives or my life, but just to make sure I'm not inundated with all of that hate. I don't need it. There's too much fun stuff in the world, and we don't get enough time to focus on all of that awesome, killer, new technology, new social things that are happening. There's so many great things in the world, and we get distracted by people hating on each other on the Twitter. So I'm going to just try liberally blocking. Maybe I won't have to block a ton. Maybe I'll have to block constantly. Now, that said, if it gets a little too time consuming, I might have to reevaluate this whole deal. But for the moment, I'm going to give it a go. Excuse me. Got a little tickle. It's almost gone. I've had a little cold for like a month now, but it's almost all the way gone. Thank heavens. Anyway, so yes, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm just at Brian Londuke. I don't know if I have a link up on, I don't have a link up on my website. I'll put it back up. I'll put a little link to my Twitter profile back up. I'm not going to be actively checking things. So if you want to get a hold of me, if you want to make sure I see a message, email me via email. Go to my website, go to lunduke.com and email me. That's the only surefire way. And even then, it's really hard. I'm not an easy person to get a hold of. I get a lot of communication and I just don't have the time to go through it all. My apologies to everybody. I do my best. I said doo-doo. But, and here's one other thing. I'm going to block people for being profane. Obviously, I'm cool with people saying the phrase doo-doo. Why I'm going to block people for being profane is this. If I'm sitting on here in the studio, if I'm sitting here in my studio and I'm looking through Twitter or something like that, and my daughter and my son come in, I don't want to have to be like, oh, don't look at that. No, that's great. I don't want to do that. I want them to be able to see the things I'm reading, see the things that the people I follow are posting, and say, that's cool. They seem like nice people. They seem nice and nerdy, man. I want them to be able to think positively about all that. I don't want them to come in and see just hate and vulgarity. So if I follow you and you're posting, G or PG rated stuff, and it's nice and it's friendly, if it gets serious, cool. If it gets critical, cool. Critical stuff is fine. Critical against me is fine. Just not bullying, right? The moment someone's intentions are clearly negative, like they're trying to do a gotcha on you. By the way, the gotchas I'm going to hear about on this video alone are going to be off the charts. There's going to be whole groups of people that are going to be like, I knew Lunduke couldn't do it. What a quitter. And they're going to come at me. They're going to manage to find whole spins on it of negativity that I have not even dreamed of. That's just what people do nowadays. They pick a side. Like, here's side A and here's side B, whether it's political or even just like cliques within the tech community. Like, here's our group, we're against that group, and so if I do something wrong, I'll be in the wrong group, so they'll come at me. They'll be like, oh, that Lunduke. I don't know why they're a pirate now, but they'll just be so cranky, and they will come at me because gotcha Lunduke said he was quitting social media forever. He's back after only a couple of months. What a loser. Like, they're gonna totally do that. And here's the thing, I'm going to block people for that too. Whether they're doing it to me or someone else, any sort of gotcha thing, unless it's like friendly. Like, if you're my bud and you're like, Lunduke being a goof, like, that's a different thing than if you're clearly meaning it to score victory points over someone else. That's not cool. We're all in this together. We're all nerds together. We should be on the same team. So I will be blocking people that agree with my politics and disagree with my politics. People that look like me and don't look like me. People that worship like me and don't worship like me. People that use the same operating system as me and don't. It does not matter. Just blocking the bullies, blocking the people that are vulgar, and anyone who's just not being excellent to each other. I'm just going to block. And here's the thing, that does not impede on their freedom of speech or anything like that in any way. I'm just blocking them. I am simply choosing to not listen to them. I am exercising my rights, my freedom to not listen to them while they use their freedom to say what they want to say. They can say whatever they want to say, and I can choose to not listen to it. And let other people know that here is the tool I am using to not listen to it. So I haven't published that up on my website yet. I have got the little spreadsheet going. It's not that long right now. It's just a good little selection of people that just kind of tend to be just mean to other people. And I don't want any part of it. So that's what we're going to do. So, hi, Twitter. My name is Brian Lunduke. I'm back and I'm hanging out. Here, real quickly, before we head off into the sunset here, I would like to, oh, goodness gracious. Oh, you got to be joking me a little bit here. My whole machine it's frozen. It's frozen. Is it catching up? It's catching up now. That was ridiculous. Every now and then, technology is just the worst. You know, you know what I mean? Sometimes it just doesn't work right. Okay, what I wanted to show you guys was this, and let's see if I can show it to you here. Is this gonna pop up? Yeah, it's gonna pop up. I gotta move myself over. Oh, I'm over here now. So what you're seeing? Well, I'll just be behind this. Hello. Where's my hand go? This right here is this is great. You can't see most of my face, and so I started using a hand to talk, but you can still see my mouth, so it's a hand and a mouth. People who are listening to the audio podcast have no idea what's going on right now. This show is sponsored in part by Purism, and I believe right now, if you go to Purism's website, puri.sm, I believe is the pre-order over. Yes. Okay, so if you go to Purism's website, it is February 3rd right now. They are making the Librem 5 smartphone, right? And they have a pre-order sale that has early bird pricing where it's $599, and they said until January 31st, and then it goes up $50 until shipping begins. Well, if you want to get a Purism phone, this is the cheapest way to do it. It says until January 31st, but I just was talking to them, and it's either today, like end of day today, that it's going up to $50, or maybe it's tomorrow, but it's happening quickly. So if you want to get that $50 off, go pre-order it now. As of the recording here, it is sitting there on the website, and you can still pre-order it. Go to Purism's website for that, puri.sm. And thank you to Purism for helping sponsor this show and be just generally awesome. And hey, now that I'm on Twitter, I can retweet stuff about that. How fancy is that, right? All right, so I'm going to go save this file. And I'm going to upload it to YouTube and my servers so people can get it in the RSS feeds. Then I'm going to post it on Twitter, and then I'm going to get yelled at. That's what's going to happen now. But it's cool because I've got a block button. I will see all you guys later. And by the way, when I say all you guys, that, just to be clear, I've explained this before. I live in Oregon. I live in Oregon in the United States of America, specifically in the northwest part of Oregon. And here, like various other parts of the country, when people say guys, that's kind of sort of like a general implication of all you people. All I use is guys. Sometimes I like to say y'all. However, when I say y'all, people online they kind of poke a little fun at me, so I feel a little self-conscious. So I say, you guys, you got to pick one or the other, you guys. So guys, gals, dudes, dudettes, have an awesome time, and I'll see you on the tweeters.